JB here. Hope everyone's doing on Saturday, Tuesday, February 11th, 3:14 on this fine afternoon. Talk really quick about the markets, some names I'm looking at. And there's not really too much to update here today. Ahead of CPI tomorrow, but Fed Chair Powell had his testimony in front of the was the finance? No, the banking committee. It's one of those committees. Whatever committee it was today, the other one will be tomorrow. Uh, I guess it was. I watched a little bit at the start, but more just posturing, right? Comments around the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and more money's all this other stuff, which wasn't much, right? And then you look at the headlines, and it's so stocks are cautious because Fed Chair Powell pretty much said that the Fed's going to remain cautious in regards to cutting rates, right? So I don't think it did much. I didn't think it was going to do much. And you take a look, markets have reversed the morning losses. The S&P or the SPY is slightly in the green here. Nasdaq getting close to being green, and then small caps are just taking on the chin. So today it's like every couple weeks or whatever, there seems like the names that were the winners start getting, or at least get a little reset, and that's kind of what it feels like a little bit today. But take a look at the SPY. I again don't want to see that lower low. So I mean, still have a ways to go, but that CPI print tomorrow is going to be very important to kind of lead the direction for the market for the rest of the week. Also, don't forget markets close Monday for President's Day. So have to think next week's a holiday shortened week as well. But so definitely going to be an important read. And then there's still more earnings tonight. Not too much too craziness. So just I still think 610's coming. You look at the VIX pretty much flat all day, even with the market pulling back. It's actually higher right now than it was in the earlier in the morning. So it just kind of shows that market's just some consolidation here today. Just unfortunately, consolidation for the overall markets. But then you look at some of the names under, you pull back the onion, right? And there's a lot of names down 6, 7, 8%. So really quick. So that's kind of the overall market. Like I said on the watch list, probably wasn't doing much today, but I did do one position, and I'll talk about that in a second. But take a look at Teldoc. It's down here 5%, giving back the gains from yesterday. Still, I mean, all things considered, still setting up nice. Thankful to lock some of my calls in, or most of my March 15s. I did add some March 20s. I'm not going to add any more, even if they continue to go down. I'll just hold those to past earnings, unless there's any crazy catalyst, right? But nothing's changed here. And at some point, things go down, right? It stinks, especially if you're in the calls and you're hoping for it to get to $20, but you have to ride the bumps along the way. And this is just one of those situations. And then Lemonade, I wouldn't call it horrible timing. It could have went the other direction, sitting there at the 50-day moving average, 38.09, and it's been slow and steady. And the slower and steadier it goes to the upside, the bigger. Once the shorts were saying, okay, if it hits this, that maybe that we get some covering. And then today is the day that takes advantage. Right as I start talking, it hits the lows of the session. Just tested 34. Still like this for a squeeze. Story hasn't changed. The other thing is, if it does continue to go down, I'll finally look for some calls to encompass earnings on Lemonade, because I think there's gonna be another surprise. I wouldn't even call it a surprise, because people who are bullish the company know the future, and looking further out, just think it's gonna be a many bags from here. But I'm not as convicted in the long term yet. This earnings report will certainly go long way in figuring that out. That's Lemonade. So which brings me to iRobot. And iRobot's one of my favorite names from over the years. I mean, if you've been in this community a while, I've been in it 10, 12 years. I've been trading long time. And of course, the most exciting time was when we had the Bill Hwang blow up. You had the short squeeze on GameStop, and then stocks that these funds had shorted all went nuts. And I could go on tell stories for a while, but that's not what I want to do right now. But needless to say, the iRobot story, Amazon finally went to go acquire the stock back in 2022 for $61 a share, $1.7 billion. Then, as the year went on, the EU was having some concerns, and I guess they're possibly nixing the deal. By that time, financials, it looked like Amazon, they needed a lifeline, so they had to get a bridge loan or whatever, a couple $100 million, and then Amazon reworked the offer down for, I think it was 1.4 billion. And then the EU finally nixed the deal a year ago, and the rest is history. The stock tumbled. The bridge loan, which was at crazy terms because no one thought that the deal wouldn't go through, put iRobot in a very terrible situation. So because of that, the stock got punished. Then they brought in, new CEO. and started cutting costs. I think the first round was 31% of the headcount, and they got it up to like 41% of the headcount. And the thing is, this is their headcount was mostly research and development. So it was like easy cost cutting that they were able to do. And now it just starts to become a turnaround story. So we'll see how that all plays out. And the CEO bought shares back in May for I think it was 12.48 was the price. And then back in the summer, I was long, played some calls for the move. Then they announced prelim guidance at the ICR conference back at the start of January. The stock was up at $13 on the robot hype, right? All the robot names were going nuts, and then it came under pressure. I think it's ready to go, and every time it's got over 950, it's been good till to 12 925. It's been good to 12. I think it's what do I have on here? I have to write it down. I wrote it down somewhere. For the last 5 times, every time it's broke 925, it's tested 1050 very quickly thereafter, like a couple sessions. And then you look at that 13 handle. That would be the next spot. If it could break 13, it's tested that 2 times, well, actually 3 times since May. If it can break over 13, it's off to the races. And then you have other things like the regulatory environment, which is going to be more conducive to M&A as regulations and concerns. The FTC was going after all these companies. They're probably not going to do that as much as they were going to do under the other administration. And then you look at the financials, $288 million market cap. It does $800 million in sales. So it's a third times price to sales ratio, right? Crazy. So even if it just traded at a 1 times multiple, it's a $26 stock. And that's not the best way to look at it, right? It's trading less than 1 times revenues for a reason. It's debt, but it's working on that debt. So that the other thing with their deal, they have cash that they have to hold back for their inventory, right? I don't think they're allowed to come under a certain threshold in regards to their cash position as they have inventory. Right? I guess that was part of the loan deal. So it's kind of like they have shackles on their around them, right? They can't do much until that's alleviated. So either way, I think there's opportunity. You look at it, and it's like if Amazon liked them at 50, well, it was at 3 years ago 61 a share, and recently 50 something a share. How do they not like it here with less debt, and then less cost associated? They've cut expenses. Amazon won't have to do that, and and the fact that there won't be regulatory fees. And Amazon already paid a fee to Thai Robot for the breakup fee. So it's like you might as well just go back in. All right, but so that's kind of thought process there. And I'm always watching. I was watching it at the start of 2025 when it was really starting to go. Then it's been chopping around. Then it started to move yesterday, and there's no news, no catalyst. But sometimes those are the best news. And then you put in the last little piece here. It has 15. Is it 15%? 12.6% short interest. So that's that. So that's the iRobot. Okay. So those are the March strikes. I'll hold up almost like a spec call, right? Because if you look, it's volatile. So can't rule out that if it does get pressure, it's back under $9, and it was back there at the noon hour. But like this as a spec play. That's that. Roku, just disappointing. It's actually off the lows this morning. But again, it seems like all the names that have ran over the last couple days are taking it on the chin today. So unfortunate. It has its earnings. I was hoping to get some out before the report. I'll probably just hold the strikes. I don't think I'll add anything more. I had enough torture so far on that one since I'd added those. Same with Trip down. You know what? Expedia was down today, and they've been on a monster tear. So it looks like Travelzoo's in the red. It's like all the travel sector names are down today. So again, I think it's more of just reset button profit taking. I don't know. I posed my little chart on Zuckerberg, right? Meta, just an insane run since a lot of so you had Zuck go on the Joe Rogan podcast and talk for like 3 hours. And I think that kind of like opened some people's eyes, because if you think about Meta, and I think a lot of the right, and again, I'm not here political, but I think there was a lot of people on the right who did not like the guy, and probably still are. And I think there was a lot of stigmas attached to Meta with the coronavirus, all the stuff that went on recently, the elections and everything. And then he went on and put his face out there, and I think a lot of them, a lot of people on the right didn't like him, and now all of a sudden I think they're like, oh, okay. And he was able to explain some things. I think it cleared the air. I'm not saying that's entirely the move. Obviously, had great earnings. Has great. They have the glasses. They have a lot of future things. But if you've been following Elon Musk since 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, if you had talked to most people on that side, the right as well, they hated Elon Musk, right? He was the other side. So similar story. And I don't want to even talk about Musk because he's a powder keg for for conversation, so I won't even get into that. I think that's it, folks. Let's have a great afternoon. I'll be back later. Rock and roll. Let's hope for a inline or cooler than expected CPI tomorrow. PPI data is on the heels of that on Thursday, so hopefully nothing crazy. And then and then we get retail sales on Friday, and that's a 3-day weekend. Have a great afternoon, folks. I'll be back. Rock and roll.